We've been hearing for some time from our current federal government and past federal governments, in conjunction with the mainstream media, that Australia is headed towards an ageing population crisis, where we're going to have lots of old people and not enough young people working in the economy to support them. The government uses this as a justification for their high immigration program, that we need to bring in lots of young migrants from overseas to help support the economy and make sure that we've got enough young people supporting the old people. But let's have a look at some ABS data and see if this is actually a problem.
Alright, so we're on the ABS website and they've got this handy interactive tool where you can have a look at the demographic breakdown of Australia. So this is where we are in 2017, but it goes all the way back to 1971. But first I'll run you through what's what so it makes sense for those of you that might not have seen it. So along the bottom we've got date running from 1971 through to what it's projected to be in 2061. On our left, the blue data is males, on the right it's females, and from here, 0 to 90, that's the age. So basically, for every age group, you can see what the population is. So we've got 166,000 two-year-old males in Australia, basically. And it's very interesting, obviously, as people get older, they start to die and it tapers away. Yeah, we can drag this all the way back to 1971. Now, for the purpose of this video, we're very interested in the baby boomer generation. And there's various definitions of who is and isn't a baby boomer, but generally, it's approximately from people who were born about 1943 to 1960. So in 1971, the youngest boomer would have been 11, and the oldest boomer would have been 28. So from here to here, basically. And we can have a look at that age bracket as we drag the slider up towards the present day, and you can see it's a bit of a bulge. And moving towards 2017, something interesting happens. Have a look at the 20 to 40 age bracket. What's happening there? That's really starting to get away. And we'll have a look at why that is later. But basically, you guys are familiar. Everyone's heard it. Australia's got an aging population. It's a crisis. We need high immigration to support the oldies. So let's have a look. In 2017, our baby boomers are ages 57 to 74. So let's have a look at that. From here to here, right? So, yeah, it's a reasonable chunk of the population. But it's really nothing compared to the bulk of the population that we see, the big bulge here between 20 to 40-year-olds. So if our current baby boomers aging is a problem, and we're worried about not having enough working age people to support them, what happens when our current spate of 20 to 40-year-olds reaches that age? Obviously there's more of them. Surely that will be a bigger problem. And the answer is, of course, it's further down the line, so the present government doesn't mention it because governments have very short time horizons that they're concerned about. So why is there such a bulge of people in the working age bracket here? What happened? Well, let's have a look at some immigration statistics. So this is a really useful graph here. This is again on the ABS website. I'll put links to all of the graphs and data in the description. So let's have a look here. This goes all the way back to 1975 and we can see the net overseas migration per year. This is very interesting and very important. So obviously net overseas migration is just inflows minus outflows. So we can see, it's fairly low around the 70s, it bounces up over 100,000 up to 150 around 1990. Then down again, and then we get this incredible spike between 2005 and 2010. A couple of really big years there. 2008, 277,000, 209, nearly 300,000. Really huge, but it does bounce up and down a bit. And at the minute, it's around 200,000 net overseas migrants per year. So yeah, look at all that migration that happened between 2005 and now. And what's also really interesting that needs mentioning is the demographic of these migrants. So in 2010, unfortunately we don't have data from the most recent census. It hasn't been published yet, but I'm hoping it will be soon. In 2010, 76% of overseas born residents were of working age. So that's between, I think, 15 and late 60s. So going back to our population pyramid, as I think it's called, let's have a look. So we'll drag the slider back to 2005. And there's no real visible bulge between the ages of 20 to 40 or 20 to 50. But then, as this high immigration of working age immigrants starts coming in, we can see those demographics changing up to present day 2017, and now we've got this huge bulge here. So yeah, I just want to stress the point that if our current baby boomer generation is going to be an issue in terms of supporting them as they age, what about this larger bulk of population that is also going to need support as they age? And this is also interesting. You can drag the slider forward and have a look at ABS projections. And obviously our high immigration is expected to continue, along with some natural increase. So Australia's population is projected to get to 41 million by 2061. So I'm not going to go into an argument about sustainability here. This is just about demographics and the change in demographics. So yeah, we can see this enormous bulge here. So look, who knows exactly if that's going to happen, how accurate the predictions are, but it's an interesting thing to consider. Obviously, you cannot continue to support an ageing population by having an ever-increasing number of young migrants, because migrants also age. There's a handy website here, Macro Business. They publish great articles. They're often very vocal about demographics and immigration and whatnot. They've released this article here, and they've made a graph of Australian median ages. And we can see here that our overseas-born residents are actually, on average, quite a lot higher than Australian-born residents, the blue line down here. So that's just something to keep in mind. So it sort of goes counter to the argument that having lots of working-age migrants decreases Australia's average age, because it actually doesn't. The opposite occurs. So, yeah, I hope that was interesting for you guys, something to keep in mind. I know it's controversial. Please feel free to ask me questions, requests, whatever you like. I'll try and get back to you. Thanks for watching.